So, hey everybody, uh, my name is Jason, obviously. If you hear something coming from up here, it's the dogs, because I'm in my basement. Oreo's already being stupid and barking because she doesn't know where I am. Um, so, this is where it really all started with my videos, except that you were on that wall facing me, looking at like my records and stuff back there. We're looking this way because I'm going to attempt to clean up some junk on my workbench. I should say that a little differently. All of the junk on my workbench, because in the past 4 years, I guess, all I've done is load stuff onto this table because I haven't really had the opportunity to do anything. Like, I've got fishing lure blanks that, you know, I got this one sanded down for the most part, but obviously there's no hook hangers or line ties or anything else to it. That's what it started off as. It was just a blocky looking thing. Um, there's a bag, a bag of flashiness. I got feathers and some other junk in here to make lures with. That was something I was going to attempt to try. I think I made one, which honestly is probably in here somewhere. Somewhere. Um, these are all drawings from the when I was attempting to make canes. Actually, like cane. That's all of my canes were made out of axe handles. So this is like an example of one. That's a skinny one. This one's a little more classy. But like I said, projects that have been started, I haven't gotten anywhere near finishing. I've got 3 or 4 of them that are put together and roughly carved in. Um, that's about as far as it got. Really. I got a trash bag floating around here on the floor. That's where 90% of probably things are going to go. I don't know what that's from. This is my makeshift dustpan, so that's at least got to stick around. Most sandpaper generally sticks around, depending on how badly I messed it up. I think I have like 3 of these floating around my basement on this table somewhere. Mismatched bits, just drill bits of sorts, screw, Phillips, whatever. Where'd my trash bag go? That's obviously a wind chime I haven't gotten to finish. Tools, screwdrivers, you name it, it's all over the place down here. Hammer. There's a vise sitting down here you can't see. What is this? Stain. Yeah. Wood stain for when I need it. But I figured while I was down here doing this, I could try to get some sort of a conversation going. These should probably have a place to go, but I don't know where to put them. We're going to use that. Stay there. This is another one I got started and never got around to finishing. Don't know if it's worth finishing. I attempted to make a cutting board, but I don't think I have a big enough sander to really do what needs done because I didn't cut them right either. But obviously, you did it that way, and then you're supposed to do it that way and make it look interesting. But this was all done like 3, 4 years ago. Either A, before I had Maggie, or before my wife had Maggie, or B, right after and I still had an opportunity to do things. Like there's a whole bunch of live edge wood just right there beside my side the workbench. Um, Here, number 3. That needs to find a home. We'll call that home for right now. Where was I going? I was gonna try to talk about some things. Sadly, I do have a concern about putting stuff online right now. Well, in general, um, everybody has things they don't tell their significant other. It don't matter who you are or what you say. There's always that stuff you don't want to say out loud, or stuff you want to talk about privately, rather than obviously so finding out on social medias or whatever. And every relationship has that. That needs to find a home. Why couldn't I find that like a day ago? They're all right there. I'm just a dumbass. Um, so I know there's, like, I could put it out onto that phone and record it and go through it, and then I just debate on whether or not to post it or not, because I don't know if I've talked to my wife about it or not. You know, so that's probably the hardest part I have with making posts and making this YouTube, is just being completely transparent without having to worry about it biting me in the ass. So I guess we'll go with the first topic of main conversation that I've been dealing with recently. My wife has been rewatching all of the Grey's Anatomy. I guess there's some new stuff coming out. I don't know. I don't pay attention to it. But I'm not a fan of it. You know, the drama, whatever. But I'm not a fan of the ER stuff. I don't know why. Just never have been. You know, she likes it. I mean, half the time she's not really paying attention to it. She's looking at her phone, which confuses the hell out of me. That might be part of the problem I have with it, though, is that she's not paying attention and she's just looking at her phone because it's just background noise, and I've told her that, so it's okay that I post it. But like that's part of my problem right now, and it just hits me wrong. It always has. Nothing I can do about it. It just hits me wrong. And recently, she went. Now, I'll say it this way: I don't see all of it straight through. I get parts of it here and parts of it there because I'm in and out, going upstairs, downstairs, doing stuff. I don't do well at sitting and just watching things other than maybe like a specific movie. I can't sit and watch hours of a program through and through. It just, I'd lose my mind. So there's that. I was making rings. Like my wedding rings are made out of wood. I did enjoy that. That was fun. So many things I could like make something. Not a. I can never make a living out of it. I can't even make a living out of my javelin stuff. But like, I'll do that. I think I started doing that. Sandpaper can go in there. You can temporarily sit there. Where was I? Sorry. Distraction. It's over there. But yeah, she's been watching that, and I probably know why things get me when they do, because I don't deal with it when things happen. I don't deal with it, so it builds up, and then finally it hits you in the head and says, okay, now you got to deal with it, or at least, hey, guess what, you forgot about this. So recently during the show that she's been watching, why do I have a thing called someone does? Ow. This is going to happen a lot. Thing of sawdust from the stuff I've been working on. If you're working with wood and you know you have the same color stuff and you need to fill in a hole, use your glue, tap it in with this, and it blends. Just a dumb tidbit for anybody that cares. Anyway, so she's been doing that, and the cancer stuff came about more specifically to one of their friends, one of their patients, or a friend who is now a patient type of thing, and it hit home on screen, which meant it also hit home on me. And I did not deal with my own personal issues when it came to my cancer. I didn't have more than one. So I wanted to go and do a full story on that type of thing, so that way, it's a little more understood of what I'm talking about. Before that, maybe I was 21. I think it was probably more 20. It was either like late 21, early 22. My age, that is. My uncle, uh, my uncle was diagnosed with, rephrase, my uncle passed away from colon cancer. And that was a man, he wasn't a larger than life man, but he was always how do I say that? Like he was just, I saw him as a version of me a lot. Just personality wise, he was not outsider. Like I've never really felt like I've been an outsider or anything like that. But I've always kept to myself. I've always been a loner, a type person. I've always then put other people in front of myself. I've always taken care of everybody else before I've taken care of myself. And it's always, I guess, more of like a black sheep type of deal. He was the black sheep of the family at the time. I was becoming more of a black sheep, or became more of a black sheep, just because of my personality. And I know I just went off screen. I apologize. But yeah, we were both black sheep of the family and things like that. And so that needs a place to go temporarily. You're gonna stay there? No, you're not gonna stay there. That needs to go over there when I have the moment to put it over there. So we were both like that. Obviously, him being much older. But so I found myself being a lot like him in that manner. And I watched him. So I watched my uncle basically just go from being that man or that type of person, that big. He wasn't big. He was taller than me, but he was somebody I looked up to. He was larger than life to me because he was my uncle. He was a lot like me, and that's what I saw him as. So I watched him deteriorate. Sorry to backtrack, but I was talking about projects and fishing lures. I took this. It was bare. It was just a bare hook where it had like a shitty old plastic one. This came out of my great grandfather. Yeah, my great grandfather, my grandfather's toolbox, or my tackle box. And it was just empty. There was nothing on it other than the head, really. And I took it and I put a bunch of sparklies, and it has a spinner up top here. And I made that. I made the back half of it. That was just something fun and amusing to do. It was interesting. And I thought it was pretty cool because now I have a bunch of his lures sitting up here hoping that I get a chance to use them this year. Lord only knows if I actually do. Anyway, I apologize. Back to where we were going. But yeah, I looked up to him a lot in that manner. Stampede of dogs. And then, I watched him deteriorate. I watched him disappear. I watched him swell up into a balloon due to treatment of some kind. I don't know what exactly. It was some sort of treatment that he was attempting to take in hopes to fix things, in hopes to heal, in hopes to cure. Obviously, he died, so it didn't work. But at the very end, when he was, when he was going through that, or JJ, knock it off. And when he was getting to that point, and he just swelled up like a balloon, really, and then passed away in hospice. But when I was diagnosed with things, I was diagnosed with a type of testicular cancer, and went through all of my processes, and there was a part of that time where I looked in the mirror, and because I look like, I took out my mom's looks, which was her brother. I got that side of the family looks rather than my dad's. And when I looked in the mirror, when my face was sunken in, you lose all that body weight, you lose all your hair, you do all of that, and I saw that man in the mirror in me, and it was just an absolutely scary point. So it's a moment that is always going to stick with me. It's something that's always going to be there, and I'm always going to have a problem with. So that happened at like 20, somewhere like 21, 22. And then at 23 when I was 23, September the 1st of 2008. Okay, I'll give you a basis on that one. I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. At that time in my life, I was involved with a haunted theme park here locally. I'd been doing it for a few years, ever since probably like junior, senior year of high school, I think. And I was a diehard, like all year round, in there working, fixing things. One of the top guys every year, busting my ass, doing real shit. And I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. My body regrets it. My brain does not. But I had just been at a thing where we were doing a bunch of stuff. I think it was like a picnic or training or something, where I had gone into my skit and busted my ass for a couple times to show people what we were doing. And I was having trouble breathing after getting all worked up. And I got myself home, sat down in front of the computer, was just trying to relax, take it, get a breather, get my breath back, calm down, and it just wasn't working. And I couldn't, I could breathe, but it was heavy, and that's not supposed to go there. And it got to the point where I was having bad chest pains, and I laid down on the living room floor. I'm like, all right, we just got to settle myself down, lay down. Had my phone, paging through whatever, just trying to occupy my brain at the time. And I just could not do it. I needed, it was to the point I was, not that I was scaring myself, or not that I was getting scared per se, but it was just, something. There's something wrong. You need to go get help. And I don't get to that point easy. Like, that was the first time I ever went to the hospital for anything. Just because, I normally just bite the bullet, fight through it, deal with it, move on the next day towards type of thing. Get it plugged in. So it takes a lot for me to need to go to the hospital, and it just got to that point where I needed to. This was a mistake in not bringing water down here. I'll pause you and go get a drink. Hey, for you it was a second. For me it was 5 minutes. Yeah, water. So, where was I? Yeah, so it got to that point where I called. At the time, I was still living with my parents. I was still going to school and everything like that. So I was at home. My parents were doing something. I was the only one home. So it just got to that point. I actually called my mother. Said, "Hey, Mom, something's going on. I think we need to go checked out or whatever." I forget exactly what I said. But yeah, so she came home, took me out to the hospital. It seems that when you're a young man in your 20s and you say you're having chest pains, it seems as though the doctors listen, and you get taken in and go right away and get checked out. I made sure not to go to my local hospital at the time, because Lord knows how long it would have taken me to get through that place. But went to the hospital, got checked out, did this scan, that scan. Got to the point that it was like 1 o'clock at night or something stupid like that. It was a weird time, and they came back. They had thought it was going to be so many different stupid things. At one time, I was wearing a mask, so they thought I was going to be contagious. Thought it was pneumonia. Thought it was 20 different things until they finally came back with an X-ray of it, and like there was no cancer person on site or whatever. It was just emergency doctors or I don't know, but they kind of just held up an X-ray and said that's bad, because it was an X-ray of my chest, and that's when I knew I was staying the night. Next day, they put me through some other tests and this and that. Found out this and that. I think I was in that hospital for maybe 2 days, 3 days, till I got to talk to the guy that became my oncologist. Great guy. He was very helpful to both me and my mom. It was great having that. I lucked out with that man. If there is a God, he's the one that graced me with him, because he never had the negative thought. So I had a little blip in there where I had to answer the phone. I apologize. Um, so yeah, I was graced with that oncologist. I'm not gonna name him just for privacy reasons, I guess. Um, but yeah, he got me through that without any hesitation. Always with confidence. He was never afraid to say, "Hey, I'm going to ask somebody else about this. Hey, I'm going to get a second opinion on this." And he's still been a part. I will say a part of my life, but like we're Facebook friends, or if we see each other out and about, be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Handshake and a hug type of thing. So he's always been a good guy. He's always a cool man, always willing to talk to you. If I ever had a funny feeling, I could send him a message and say, "Hey, is this something I should be worrying about or whatever?" He would have no trouble, giving me his thought or telling me if I should go get checked out or something. I think that's a used one. So yeah, I was graced with that man and his capabilities and connections. So my stint in the hospital was, off the top of my head, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 times, but I had to stay in the hospital for a week at a time. Didn't go home, didn't leave. But I stayed in the hospital for a week at a time, getting what they were calling the VIP treatment or VIP medicine. However, they basically said you're 23 years old and your body is still capable. We're gonna fuck you up with some good shit, um, and just let your body take it and see how it goes in hopes that we can just bust it out of you and do it that way. And that's what they did. And, that's why I couldn't go home. The funny thing is, I don't think I was ever told it, or if I was, I didn't think about it. I didn't register it. I actually had like stage 4 testicular cancer. And sorry, I know this is going up and down and back and forth, but my cancer started when you're a kid, or when you're still, that big. Basically, your balls like form first, so however that works, and then no, I don't know if it's not first, but you get my picture. And then as you begin to grow and become a full size baby, it left things behind as I was growing. Stampede. Um, and so, because of that, it left things in places where I didn't need them, which is that what became cancerous tumors. So, those tumors, obviously, everything became cancerous tumors and problematic and life threatening. It just happened to be that I never broke a bone. I never had any other problems in my life as a child that I would get any other x-rays or any other scans or anything like that. I didn't have any problems as a kid. I never had chest pains or breathing or whatever. I never had any issues. So we never found anything, never knew about it up until that day, or when that happened. So, yeah, that's the intro to backstory, I guess. To that, I have now made probably a half an hour worth of a video explaining that part about it. And, that's not really the emotional end of it for me. That's just, this is how it happened. This is how it started. This is what's going on. Not what's going on. This is what was going on. That sort of thing. And yeah, so I was in the hospital for that at the age of 23. And we'll get into the mental stuff a little later. Yeah, intro to cancer. How's that? So I don't know how much sense this made to anybody, and hopefully it got somewhere. I don't know if it's gonna get anywhere to me. I'll watch it back and see if I have to redo it. But my wife needs me. I got this pretty well picked up now, which is good. I still have some other things I gotta figure out there, but I'm gonna go help my wife first. Maybe come back, listen to some music, put it on my record player. Maybe make a lure. We'll figure it out. But thanks for listening. I'm sorry if I know I look over here and you're over there, so I apologize for that. But I'm gonna do it all the time because I look at that because I see that's where the fucking where it's yeah. I need to put my phone the other way next time. But there's no outro. This is the way it is. So thanks for listening.